Hi, good morning. Welcome to ColumbusCast. My name is Laura Gilbank. I'm the Business Development Manager at Columbus in our food division. And today we're going to be talking around digital transformation in food businesses and finding value in doing that. I'm joined by my colleagues Ian and Drew, and I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Good morning, Laura. Good to be here. So my name's Drew, or Andrew Newton. Most people call me Drew. I'm a Business Central food consultant for Columbus. Prior to that, I was doing food manufacturing for a company called Sandwich Brothers within the UK.
Excellent, thanks, Drew. Ian?
I'm in Kingstone, so I'm a business transformation expert. I've been doing various business transformations across different businesses, mainly underpinned by digital technology for the last, 25 plus years. So, and I've worked in the food industry along the way, as well as lots of other industries. So that's me.
Excellent, thanks, Ian. So, I was watching a keynote speech the other day that Satya Nadella did, who's the CEO of Microsoft, and he was talking about digital transformation and businesses really need to adopt digital technology in order to create resilience for the future. And I just thought it'd be a good topic for us to discuss how that affects food businesses and digital transformation and how they can find value in doing that.
Okay, well, I mean, digital transformation is a big
What does that
topic,
mean?
if you want.
Yeah.
What does it mean? And I always break it down into a simple formula, really. I always kind of break it down into tech, digital technology, but also then transformation, as in business transformation. So not just the technical side, but the people, the changes, absolutely, and how you actually drive transformation from a business. And then if you put the two together, which is I think what you're alluding to there, is that's what drives value or new value, especially if you're doing transformational type activities. You're changing the way you work, or changing more so than just kind of doing the same as what you've done. You're transforming something. You're changing the way you operate as an organisation. That's more transformational, and that could be out to the consumer. It could be within your own business. It could be within the B2B sector. It's that type of thing. So tech plus business transformation equals new value. That's digital transformation to me.
I think a lot of businesses could be stuck in a rut. People come to work, they do the same thing day in, day out. Once you've been doing that for a period of time, it certainly becomes the norm. I mean, I'll go back to an example where I spoke to one of the colleagues I was working with, and I'd said to him, just explain why you're actually doing it like that. And he says, well, because we always have done. And for me, straight away, that's like, well, your people need to challenge and actually look at it from a different perspective. Think outside the box, because not only digital transformation and technology is moving on, manufacturing's moving on. So just because we've always done it like that, there's so much more to be had, definitely.
Yeah, and I think when you ask for value in the food industry, I think it's that everything's moving on. It's not just in the food industry, but the food industry is perhaps in need of more transformation. Things move along, especially if it's going business to business, but business to business is expecting the same type of process now as business to consumer as well. So those lines are blurring. Yeah. So there's a lot more technology coming along in many different ways. That is allowing other organisations to manufacture and process, and this is all the same in the food industry. Markets are changing quickly. Buying habits, or even eating habits in this particular case, are changing rapidly. So the world's moving at quite a pace. Things are changing. Demands from consumers or other businesses on how you work with them. All of those trends are moving along at pace, and to stay relevant in that world, and all organisations that mind food really need to understand how they keep up and how they stay relevant.
It's about being proactive rather than reactive.
So coming back to your example, when you're doing something that you've always done it that way, you don't necessarily always see, or the organisation's market might see that there's lots of changes happening. but you don't necessarily feed that back to then why would I need to change what I'm doing as part of a bigger process or a bigger piece. And that's where a lot of the challenges come along. You know, you need to transform various elements of the business to keep up, if you want, and deliver now what's required by the consumer or other businesses. So that's what's pushing this need.
Yeah, and you talked about data there, and it's interesting that Satya Nadella made an interesting point around data, that we're creating so much data that we can't understand it that quickly, and that we're going to, in the next 3 years, going to create more data than we've created in the last 30 years. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but that data is getting used quicker, and you know, decisions are made quicker, and people expect things to move at a pace, as I kind of just said, and that drives that whole trend. So, you know, where's there value in the food industry? Well, my view would be there's value in how you engage with your customers, whoever they are, but also value in how you process. You know, if you're a food manufacturer, how you do your processing, the speed in which you throughput. Right. So the whole thing around product innovation and technology and how that's supporting that, and then the whole piece around not just around kind of efficiencies, if you want. There's lots of opportunity for efficiencies and savings and cost savings, if you want, with using modern technology transformation. But there's also a lot of other opportunities, if you want, for new value around engagement, employee engagement, safety in the workplace. You know, there's quite a lot of technology around, if you want, manufacturing execution systems, those types of things that can help drive a much safer working environment for your employees. So this value can be looked at around increasing revenue or reducing costs or finding efficiencies, but there's also heaps of value around, you know, safety, environmental, employing local people.
Yeah, reducing waste, reducing defects.
Yeah, exactly. So there is, the food industry is one of those places where I think there is a lot of opportunity to hunt new value.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
So you're saying that businesses should just look beyond their ERP project when they're looking at value and digital transformation and transforming their business in whole?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. ERP is a really good starting point because it the nature of what ERP is, it crosses across the organisation, across the different processes across most of the organisation. But while you're doing that, you should be looking at ideas of improvements or other areas, and then how the interconnectivity of those of ERP and other technologies can really start to drive more value.
Yeah, I think the ERP system, it's a tool for helping you capture that data. And again, it's one source of the truth. Everybody's looking, as you said, everybody's looking at the same picture. Just going back to what Laura said in terms of the amount of data that's out there to capture, it's all right capturing it, but what do we do with it once we've got it? Because if you don't measure it, you can't change it. That's key.
Good point.
And one of the key things in transformation there is that some of those measures may change or need to change. So it's about understanding the data, but then also understanding this business transformation piece, if you want. How do you maybe look at that, the way that business works in a different way? And how do you measure things maybe differently? Then you're truly transforming because you're changing the way you work, the way you measure things. But quite often you don't know until you start down that digital journey, if you want, and down that gathering that data and getting that information. And this is the thing that I often see even in ERP, but across all kind of digital transformations is when you start on that journey, you still find new value along the way, because there's things you didn't really understand until you've got some of those pieces in place. You learn more, and then you move forward again and find more value.
It's continuous improvement, isn't it? It's a circle.
It's not just about hunting value at the start. It's not just getting a business case and saying, oh, there's a load of value here. That's very important. But it's all and educating people in what's in it for them, if you want, what's in it for all of us around that value. But it's also around continually reviewing that value. Am I achieving that value as I'm going down that path, that journey, if you want? And then is there opportunity for another or new value?
So Ian, that's a good point you made about value and what's in it for me. So how can businesses focus on what's in it for me and what actually is in it for them?
Can I just pick up on that?
Yeah,
that
of course you
Laura?
can.
So yeah, I think from a business point of view, you've got your stakeholders at the top of that pyramid. Your directors, your top management, and then you've got the people not at the bottom but further down who are actually working on that coalface day to day. And what's in it for both of them parties is very, very different. So your guy who's on the shop floor running a line, what's important to him is making his job a lot easier, a lot more efficient, giving him the ability, the tools to be able to take that data, look at his performance, his team's in performance, and improve on that. How they improve on it.
Yeah, I think well, you've got. I mean, a really good point actually. You've got value across all the different stakeholder groups. Value in the owners of the company, right the way through to the board or whatever, how the company's structured. Like you say, the executive if you want to run a company, but you've got value right the way down and across if you want customers and suppliers. And often the one that actually gets missed is suppliers as well. The value back to suppliers. We talk about customer centricity a lot and getting value towards the customer and understanding what the customer wants. Employees, as you just mentioned, across the board, but also the supply side as well. So that you've got to look at and different organisations will have different context of what they mean by value, those different layers, if you want, across the organisation. And I think if you can find value across all of those stakeholder groups, then some of the transformational pieces, change management, and those side of things become a lot easier to articulate and get people all aligned on that journey, if you want, through transformation, because they can see value for them. So as you just said, that there's a lot of value for empowering people with information and the technology can provide them to allow them to not only do their job better and more efficient, but it's actually more enjoyable because they're not spending ages trying to pull data to find an answer. They're not trying to get information to do that. The technology is doing that for them. It's now giving them information that allows them to act, do things that actually make their job more enjoyable rather than just going around trying to find data and pull it out and trying to work out what's happening on here. It's more informative and it helps them to do their work. But I think if you can articulate your value in that way, so how's this going to create employee engagement as well? How does it make it a safer working environment? How does all of those types of things? Why is this? If we've got better throughput and we've got less waste, and we're looking at this is sustainability, environmental type thing that you then feel like, well, I'm working for an organisation that really is thinking about that stuff and caring about the environment and caring about. So that's employee engagement in itself. There's different levels of value. Same with your suppliers. It's not just about quality of product, but it's about quality of information that comes with that product and how you work with them and help them understand your needs and their needs. That they've got their own challenges, with their transformation and so it's how you can kind of join up, getting the supply at the right time for what you're trying to make and all of those types of things is how can you add value back to your suppliers as well? So you're a better company to work with. So actually they really like working with you as that company and therefore you may create them some savings that then help you get some more efficiencies. So it's kind of looking across that value chain, those value streams across the business and then how it impacts what stakeholder groups and what's value is it, what's in it for them. That's how I look at those types of pieces.
Is it possible to tackle value creation and improvement on your own, as it would with a company like Columbus to help you hunt for that new value when you're going through this transformation project? Is it easier to do it by yourself, or would you need the help, or should you get the help of a consultancy company like us?
Yeah, I mean,
how would a company go around this? I know you have to do your business case, don't you? And the value supports that business case, but how would you do this?
Lots of organisations can do that on their own. But what I would say is that perhaps they're just looking at what they know internally and what they've done internally, whereas it's good to have people like ourselves who've got a good expertise across various different organisations within the sector and understand how other people are finding value and what else is going on. So I think it really does add more value to that process by bringing in external people. And then from the perspective of Columbus, I mean, we've got a set of processes and tools that we've used and continue to use and improve on to help hunt value and help capture it in a way that's perhaps not so financial, if that makes sense. And it's not necessarily underpinned by just technology. This can be looking at, looking at business and how business goes and how we facilitate hunting new value and looking at that across them. So we've got those processes and those frameworks and tools to help do that. So I think what I've found is that certainly a lot of organisations I've talked to who put a business case together, but we can add value to that business case by maybe showing what other people are doing, and understanding our industry sector as we do, but also by helping them look at maybe other ways of looking at where value might be from our technology knowledge. So it's kind of, it's that piece of the art of the possible.
Yeah, I think it's different. It's different looking at different ways of working, different opportunities. Like you say, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. There's lots of other people out there doing it, doing different things. And I suppose it's about taking them opportunities and actually challenging and changing what you're currently doing.
Yeah, and knowing what other companies have done. So it's also about kind of understanding that we often see these types of things in these types of areas. This type of value is achievable, and it's knowing that. A lot of organisations may not have that understanding of what is the art of the possible. So clearly, I'd recommend that Columbus help them.
Yeah, exactly. Are you able to talk us through that process of our process of finding that value with the customer?
Well, and it depends where they are on that journey. But if they're at the outset of that journey, I mean, we would recommend we do a kind of an envisioning process where we take the ideas. It's a business process. It's not. We don't talk about technology really. We talk about where is the opportunity for value. Where are some of the challenges in the business? Where are some of the opportunities in the business and in the market?
I think you said it's key to engage with people across the spectrum within the business because, quite often the top management or the middle management are actually not doing them processes. It's the people actually doing them processes that, it's key that you talk to.
It's interesting because it's also then interesting to understand the alignment of that and help that alignment between strategic intent of where people want to go and where they want to drive value from, if you want, top of the business to, people, if you want, in the coalface doing the work.
They'll have different challenges.
They do, but it's quite interesting how often you can join that up and they didn't really join it up necessarily. They've not had that opportunity to join it up. So we've got a process it's kind of a workshopping process that we can do in person or we can do remotely, and it works just as well. But it kind of brings out those things and helps people align. So it's not just about hunting value, it's about aligning mindsets and prioritising and looking at what the priorities are. So our process kind of looks through some of the other challenges with digital transformation. It's about hunting value, but it's also about aligning people on that value. It's also about understanding what the priorities are, and then how do we go about getting that done? What's the roadmap of that? So taking a strategy and actually looking at how you deliver upon that, than just finding some value, writing a business case, and then not really knowing how to go after it.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's a journey into there's no end point. It's a continuous thing.
Yeah, and then that same process can then be used over, depending on the pace that the organisation can move at, to help review that. So it gives the business a bit of agility in how it goes about that digital transformation journey. It doesn't have to be one big program of work that costs lots of money.
Yeah.
It can be, right, we know what the opportunity is, but let's go after that piece, and then we can go after that piece and we can build upon that.
So thanks for that, Ian. That's a good point about our process. So why should people come to Columbus? What makes us so different?
Well, I think we've got quite a lot of strength in Columbus around not just being able to advise people on what to do with technology, and we've got that whole experience and specialism in delivering that into businesses, and we've been doing it a long while. So we've got not just this is how you should do it, and this understanding where things are going, and kind of the advisory type stuff. We've got the experience of delivery and the people who are used to delivering this stuff into organisations and actually doing it successfully. So go not just putting the strategy together as I just discussed, but actually delivering that strategy into organisations and some of the challenges and how you overcome those within doing that. So we've got all of that experience. So I think we've got a good breadth of doing alongside, this is how to do.
Yeah, I think from my perspective as well, Laura, only being with Columbus a short time, as I found, the culture within this group of people is fantastic. The vision, everyone's chasing the same goal, we're all doing the same things. Teamwork is obviously fantastic within Columbus, and yeah, I'm not sure what else I was going to say, to be honest. You've got that bit out.
Well, that's it. When you've come from the food industry, and I think that's what we do well at Columbus as well. We like to hire people that comes with that knowledge of the background in the industry that we focus on. So we've employed you because of your wealth and knowledge and experience in the food industry for 20 years. So 27. A long time.
And that's because we partner with our customers, don't we? We partner with them, we work with them through challenges of that delivery, and we help them then onwards look at where future opportunities are. And it's a partnership. It's working with them, understanding that we work in that industry sector.
Yeah, that's it. We know it well.
What we do.
Yeah.
So,
it's about going on that journey together, isn't it? Definitely.
Excellent. Thanks for your time today, Ian and Drew. I hope our listeners and viewers have learned more about digital transformation, how they can create value in that business digital transformation project. Stay tuned for the next episode.